So Logpoint manages whitelists for the entire detection process. Those whitelists are not just for UEBA, but they can definitely be triggered by UEBA and manage for UEBA devices. Let's take, for an example, this current view, which is how an analyst would see the list of cases coming from many different directions. One of them happens to be related to a user anomaly on a specific user. So let's look at the case. The case actually was open because there was an anomaly on a specific user in the system. And there will be potentially additional anomalies and additional detections that are not related to UEBA within the same case. I will show in a moment what the workflow looks like, because this whole handling automation, including the whitelisting process, is performed by a SOAR playbook that takes care of alerts coming from UEBA. So we can see here that we have a prompt waiting. This is basically a question to the analyst saying, do you need to do something? And yes, this is waiting for user input. Do you want to add security research Terracotta Pharma to whitelist? And the answer would be yes, researcher should not trigger incidents because he's a researcher. So because he's a researcher, we'll exclude him. We know for sure that we don't want to look at anomalies coming from the behavior that the security research is done. So while we were investigating the case and looking overall at what was happening, we saw that there was an action waiting for us, and we can simply add the user to the whitelist. And now the playbook would actually end successfully. So we're done. And we can go back, and you can see the prompt is no longer asking us to do something about it. And we can go and look at how this was done, basically how the whitelisting and how the triage process is working. So let's search for what we cover for anomalies. Right, we have a number of different triage playbooks, one for domain, one for email, one for user. Easily add others for any other type of entity. We're only showing here this one. The one we used was the one for user. Let's look at it for a moment. A pretty straightforward flow. So this playbook is actually executed whenever there is an anomaly for a certain user, and this needs to be triaged. First of all, we're checking that this is not an error and this is not empty. If it's empty, we'll just stop. Then we check if the user is whitelisted. We just whitelisted the specific user we looked at in the case. If that user were listed earlier by somebody else, then that query would have ended at that immediate point, right? Check if user is whitelisted and then stop. However, the user was not whitelisted. So we got a list of cases where the user is an artifact, meaning related to that user. If there was any case open, then we would just select the highest severity case of all the different cases open for that user, and there could be several. And the most severe one we'll choose, and we'll add the anomaly data incident to that case that we have found. And with that, we end the processing. However, if there isn't a case already, and this might be a new thing, and the overall severity would then, in most cases, be lower, then we check a couple of things. We check if the user is an admin by looking up the groups in AD, formatting the result, scripting to actually check if any of the group is an admin group by the level of access. And if the user is an admin, we increase severity. If not, we just go to the next step. Same question is this a user that was newly created? And we check to see on the epoch date, how long ago was the user created? And if he was created within the last days, 7 days last week, then this is suspicious and we increase our severity. Once we finish that, we actually run the playbook where we verify if the analyst wants to add that user to a whitelist. The analyst, remember, is coming from the case. He has a full view of all the different incidents related to that specific user, and it's the right point in time and place for him to decide whether he would like to whitelist users so he gets no more anomalies from that user into cases for a limited period of time. So we've seen what this looks like, and we've seen what type of registrations and whitelistings we can do.